Bigi Jackson is Michael Jackson's youngest child. Born into one of the most famous families in the world, his life has fascinated the public from the very beginning. From the moment he entered the Jackson family, he was surrounded by curiosity, speculation, and intense media attention. Unlike many celebrity children, Biggie spent much of his early life away from the spotlight, making him one of the most mysterious members of the Jackson family. As the son of the King of Pop, he grew up carrying a legacy unlike Even after inheriting a fortune worth millions, Bigi Jackson has chosen to stay away from the spotlight. While many expected him to embrace fame, he has remained one of the most private members of the Jackson family, keeping much of his life hidden from public view.
That's just kind of what each of us want to do, and kind of makes things that people hopefully enjoy but also can benefit their lives.
How Bigi Jackson lives today has always been a source of fascination for Michael Jackson fans around the world. But perhaps the biggest mystery was the story of his birth. From the very beginning, questions surrounded Bigi Jackson. Unlike his older siblings, whose births were widely reported, the details surrounding his arrival remained hidden from the public. The secrecy sparked endless speculation and fueled curiosity for years. Very few people outside Michael Jackson's inner circle knew the truth. As time passed, the mystery grew even larger, becoming one of the most discussed topics among fans and the media. It wasn't until a television interview in 2003 that Michael Jackson finally spoke openly about the matter. During the interview, he revealed that his youngest son had been born through a surrogate and was biologically his child. The disclosure answered a long-standing question, but it also deepened public interest in the life of the boy who would later become known as Bigi Jackson.
I used a surrogate mother or my own sperm cells. I had my own sperm cells in my other two children.
Even after Michael Jackson finally addressed the mystery, the truth remained wrapped in secrecy. Key pieces of the story were never revealed to the public. The egg donor's identity was kept completely anonymous, and the woman who carried the child was never publicly named. Every detail was handled behind closed doors by Michael's trusted representatives, creating a wall of silence that outsiders could not penetrate. For years, that silence fueled endless rumors. With almost no verified information available, speculation spread across tabloids, television programs, and fan communities. The deeper people searched for answers, the more mysterious the story seemed to become. But the mystery doesn't end there. Before we continue, take a close look at this unusual image. It appears to show a man resembling Bigi Jackson standing among a collection of strange golden objects. He wears a heavy jacket covered in gold-colored squares, while an odd green pendant hangs around his neck. Behind him sits what looks like a Volkswagen van coated entirely in reflective gold. Nearby, a golden bust of Michael Jackson stares forward from a dark pedestal. The scene feels less like a backyard and more like a forgotten museum filled with relics from another world. Some believe these items came directly from Michael Jackson's private collection. Others argue that the story doesn't add up. Whatever the truth may be, the image has sparked intense debate among fans. What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. A birth the world almost never saw. Long before Bigi Jackson appeared in public photographs, his story was already surrounded by mystery. On February 21, 2002, in a hospital in La Mesa, California, Michael Jackson quietly became a father for the third time. There were no cameras waiting outside, no official announcement, no celebration for the public to witness. For a family constantly followed by the world's media, the silence was startling. The child was given the name Prince Michael Jackson too, but beyond that, very little information escaped into public view. It was as if his arrival had been deliberately hidden from the world. And that secrecy only made the mystery grow darker. Who knew the full story? Why was so much kept hidden? And what other details remained locked away from public view? For years, those questions lingered, turning Bigi Jackson's birth into one of the most mysterious chapters in the Jackson family's history.
Blanket, I love you, Blanket. Yes.
Michael Jackson went to extraordinary lengths to keep the details of his youngest son's early life private. Ironically, that secrecy created even more public fascination than a full explanation ever could have. The fewer details that emerged, the more people wanted answers. News outlets, fans, and tabloids became obsessed with uncovering the truth. Before he was even old enough to walk, Bigi Jackson had become the center of a worldwide mystery, with speculation following him wherever his name appeared. But the mystery didn't stop with his birth. There was another question that captured public attention: his unusual nickname. Long before most people learned his official name, they knew him by a single word that instantly sparked curiosity: blanket. The nickname spread rapidly across newspapers, television programs, and entertainment magazines. It became one of the most recognizable celebrity nicknames of the early 2000s, generating endless discussions and theories about its meaning. Why would Michael Jackson choose such an unusual nickname for his son? Many people believed there had to be a deeper explanation. Some suggested it was connected to family traditions. Others created elaborate theories that quickly circulated online and in the media. But according to Michael Jackson, the truth was much simpler. He explained that the term represented love, protection, and care, the idea of surrounding someone with affection the same way a blanket provides comfort and security. While the nickname may have sounded unusual to the public, its meaning was rooted in a father's desire to express warmth and protection toward his child. Even so, the nickname became another piece of the mystery that surrounded Bigi Jackson, adding yet another chapter to a story that fascinated the world for years.
Call him Blanket.
Call him Blanket?
Yeah.
Many people assumed the nickname, Blanket, came from Michael Jackson's habit of covering his children with masks, veils, and fabric whenever they appeared in public. To outsiders, the connection seemed obvious. But Michael repeatedly rejected that explanation. According to him, the nickname had nothing to do with hiding his son from cameras. Instead, it symbolized warmth, comfort, protection, and unconditional love, the same qualities he hoped would surround his youngest child throughout life. Even so, as the years passed, the nickname became something he would eventually leave behind. As he grew older, he adopted a new identity, choosing to be known as Bigi, a name that reflected his desire to define himself on his own terms. Growing up behind the spotlight. For Bigi's earliest years, life was unlike anything most children could imagine. Camera flashes followed the Jackson family almost everywhere they went, making privacy a necessity rather than a luxury. Public appearances were carefully managed, and every outing required planning. Masks, costumes, and face coverings became a regular part of life. Whenever the Jackson children appeared in public, their identities were often concealed. To many observers, the practice seemed unusual. To Michael Jackson, however, it was a way of protecting his children from the intense scrutiny that came with global fame. He believed his children had not chosen celebrity status and should be allowed to experience childhood with as much privacy as possible. While other children enjoyed ordinary lives, the Jackson siblings grew up in a world shaped by security measures, media attention, and constant public curiosity. The moment that shocked the world. That carefully protected privacy faced its biggest challenge in November 2002. Outside Berlin's Hotel Adlon, thousands of fans gathered below, hoping to catch a glimpse of Michael Jackson and his family. Cameras were pointed toward the balconies, waiting for a memorable moment. What happened next instantly became one of the most controversial images of Michael Jackson's life. Standing high above the crowd, Michael briefly held baby Bigi over the balcony railing while greeting fans below. To him, it appeared to be a harmless gesture meant to share a special moment with supporters. But once photographs and video footage spread around the world, the reaction was immediate. News outlets replayed the images nonstop. Critics questioned his judgment, while supporters argued that the incident had been misunderstood. Regardless of perspective, the controversy dominated headlines and became a defining moment in discussions about Michael Jackson's parenting. Years later, the image would still be remembered around the world. Meanwhile, the child at the center of the controversy continued growing up, largely unaware of the debate that had unfolded around him. a childhood of luxury and isolation. Bigi was born into a lifestyle few people could ever experience. Although Neverland Ranch is often associated with the Jackson family, his time there was relatively brief. After Michael closed the property in 2005, the family moved between various residences in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, Bahrain, and Ireland. One tradition remained constant wherever they lived: Christmas. The holiday season transformed each home into a magical wonderland filled with lights, decorations, music, and gifts. For the Jackson children, these celebrations became some of their most treasured memories. Yet beneath the luxury and excitement was a different reality. The family's extraordinary lifestyle often created distance from the outside world. While they had access to experiences most people could only dream about, ordinary childhood interactions were sometimes difficult to find. Their upbringing existed somewhere between immense privilege and profound isolation. An afternoon away from the cameras. On April 29, 2009, Michael Jackson spent a rare and peaceful afternoon with Prince, Paris, and Bigi in West Hollywood. For a few hours, they enjoyed something close to normal family life. The outing began at the Ed Hardy flagship store on Melrose Avenue, where the children explored colorful designs and fashion displays. Later, the family visited Off the Wall Antiques, a shop filled with vintage memorabilia, collectibles, and unusual treasures. Michael appeared relaxed as he guided his children through the store, sharing stories and pointing out items that caught his attention. Security remained nearby, but the atmosphere felt calm and genuine. For a family constantly surrounded by attention and speculation, it was a simple moment of togetherness, a father spending time with his children. Few could have known how important those memories would soon become, when the world finally saw their faces. For years, Michael Jackson's children had remained largely hidden from public view. That changed on July 7, 2009. At the memorial service held at the Staples Center in Los Angeles, millions of people watched as Prince, Paris, and Bigi appeared before the world with their faces fully visible. It was the first time many people had truly seen the children Michael had spent years protecting from public attention. The emotional ceremony marked a turning point in their lives. When Paris stepped forward and tearfully described her father as the best father you could ever imagine, the moment resonated across the world. What had once been a family surrounded by mystery was suddenly sharing its grief in full public view. In a single day, years of privacy disappeared, replaced by a new reality in which Michael Jackson's children would be seen, recognized, and followed by the public more than ever before. The last peaceful day together. Before tragedy struck, there was one final ordinary afternoon. At their home, the family gathered for lunch and shared a quiet meal together. The atmosphere was warm, relaxed, and filled with appreciation for the time they spent as a family. According to those present, Michael appeared calm and happy that day. There were no signs that this simple gathering would later be remembered as one of the final peaceful moments shared between a father and his children. At the time, it was just another family afternoon. Looking back, it became something far more meaningful. According to those who were there, Michael Jackson spent that day completely focused on his children. The family's cook later recalled that everything seemed normal. There were no warning signs, no tension, and no indication that anything was about to change forever. Later that afternoon, Michael left home for rehearsals as he had done many times before. Nobody could have imagined that he would never return. What seemed like an ordinary family lunch would become one of the most precious memories his children would carry for the rest of their lives, a final moment of normalcy before everything changed. The question that changed everything. When Michael Jackson passed away in June 2009, the world mourned the loss of a global icon. But behind the headlines, a deeply personal question faced the family. Who would raise Prince, Paris, and Bigi? Amid the uncertainty, family members, close friends, and legal representatives weighed in on what would be best for the children. Among them was Mark Lester, a longtime friend of Michael Jackson and one of the children's godfathers. Rather than becoming involved in public disputes, Lester emphasized what mattered most: stability, safety, and continuity. He publicly supported Katherine Jackson as guardian, believing she could provide the secure environment the children desperately needed after losing their father. Under Katherine's care, the siblings settled into a new chapter of life. The adjustment was far from easy, but it offered them something invaluable during a difficult period, a sense of structure and family support. Slowly, each child began adapting to a future they had never expected, rebuilding life after loss. The years following Michael Jackson's death transformed the lives of Prince, Paris, and Bigi. Living with their grandmother in California, the siblings experienced a more traditional upbringing than they had known before. They attended school, developed friendships, and began exploring interests beyond the extraordinary world they had grown up in. Even so, legal and family matters occasionally created challenges. Questions surrounding guardianship and custody became subjects of court proceedings and public discussion. Despite those complications, Katherine Jackson remained a central figure in the children's lives, helping provide consistency during a period filled with uncertainty. Through it all, the siblings gradually built their own identities while carrying one of the most recognizable family names in the world. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more fascinating stories about Michael Jackson and the Jackson family. Speaking publicly for the first time, for years, Bigi Jackson remained almost completely out of public view. Then, in 2013, audiences were given a rare opportunity to hear directly from him. During the documentary Remembering Michael, Bigi appeared alongside Prince, Paris, and Katherine Jackson, marking one of the most significant public appearances of his young life. Many viewers expected him to discuss fame or his father's legendary career. Instead, he surprised audiences by speaking about issues that genuinely mattered to him. He expressed concern about global poverty, wildlife conservation, and environmental challenges affecting communities around the world. The thoughtful comments revealed a young man focused on causes larger than celebrity culture. For many fans, it was the first real glimpse of Bigi's personality beyond the mystery and media attention that had followed him since birth. At the same time, Prince and Paris shared their own experiences, reflecting on what it was like growing up in a world very different from that of most children, honoring their father's legacy. One of the most emotional public tributes to Michael Jackson took place in Hollywood when Prince, Paris, and Bigi participated in a special ceremony celebrating their father's legacy. Standing before fans and media representatives, the siblings helped commemorate Michael's place in entertainment history. During the ceremony, Paris wrote her father's name in wet cement and added a small heart beside it, creating a deeply personal tribute. Michael's famous glove and iconic dance shoes were also incorporated into the memorial, ensuring that symbols of his career would remain part of the historic display. The event attracted major celebrities, longtime friends, and devoted fans who gathered to celebrate the lasting impact of the King of Pop. For the Jackson children, it was another opportunity to honor the father they loved while preserving his legacy for future generations. Choosing a different path. As the years passed, Bigi Jackson made a decision that surprised many observers. Rather than pursuing a highly public career, he chose a quieter and more private lifestyle. While Prince and Paris became more visible through media appearances, charitable projects, and entertainment-related work, Bigi largely stepped away from public attention. Interviews became increasingly rare, and public appearances grew less frequent. Today, he is known for maintaining a low profile despite being the son of one of the most famous entertainers in history. On the rare occasions he is photographed in public, he often appears dressed casually and living much like any other young adult. Whether running errands, meeting friends, or simply going about daily life, he seems determined to avoid the spotlight that followed him throughout childhood. In many ways, that decision may be the most remarkable chapter of his story. Born into one of the most famous families on earth, Bigi Jackson ultimately chose something that fame rarely allows: privacy. By most accounts, people who have met Bigi Jackson describe him as thoughtful, humble, and deeply interested in film, technology, and education. Rather than seeking attention, he appears to have intentionally built a quiet life centered on personal growth and creative interests. For many observers, his decision to stay out of the spotlight doesn't seem like an escape from fame. Instead, it feels like a conscious choice to live life according to his own values. Choosing a new name. Since childhood, the nickname Blanket had been used affectionately within the Jackson family. To Michael Jackson, it symbolized protection, love, and care. Outside the family, however, the nickname often attracted unwanted attention. As Bigi grew older, the unusual name became a target for teasing and jokes from classmates. Over time, the nickname that once represented affection began to feel like something imposed on him rather than something he had chosen for himself. Eventually, he made a decision that would help redefine his identity. He adopted the name Bigi. The change represented far more than a simple adjustment on official documents. It was a statement of independence and self-definition. When school records and yearbooks began reflecting the new name, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, one in which he would determine how he wanted the world to know him. For perhaps the first time in his life, he was shaping his public identity on his own terms. 3 siblings, 3 different paths. As the children of Michael Jackson, Prince, Paris, and Bigi inherited one of the most influential legacies in entertainment history. Yet each sibling has approached that legacy differently. Prince has focused on business ventures, philanthropy, and preserving aspects of his father's professional legacy. Paris has built a career through music, modeling, and artistic expression, creating an identity that reflects her own creative vision. Bigi, meanwhile, has remained the most private of the 3. Despite their different paths, all 3 siblings share a common responsibility, protecting and honoring the legacy left behind by their father. For them, Michael Jackson's name represents more than financial assets or business opportunities. It represents a cultural impact that continues to influence generations around the world. Together, they approach that responsibility with different perspectives, but a shared commitment to preserving what their father created. When legacy meets business. As the years passed, the business side of Michael Jackson's estate became increasingly significant. Major licensing agreements, music rights, and commercial partnerships continued to generate worldwide attention, demonstrating the lasting value of Michael Jackson's catalog and brand. Like many large estates, decisions regarding management and future strategy occasionally sparked disagreements among family members and estate representatives. During some of these discussions, Bigi became involved in legal proceedings connected to estate matters, showing that despite his preference for privacy, he was willing to participate when issues directly affected his family's interests and legacy. These situations highlighted an ongoing reality for the Jackson family. Even years after Michael Jackson's passing, questions surrounding his legacy continued to carry both emotional and financial importance. Facing his father's story on screen. For most of his life, Bigi controlled how much of himself the public could see. That changed when renewed attention surrounding projects based on Michael Jackson's life brought the family back into the spotlight. As interest in Michael's story grew once again, Bigi appeared alongside Prince at public events and promotional appearances connected to projects celebrating their father's life and career. For someone who had spent years avoiding media attention, these appearances represented a significant step. Yet observers noted how calm and confident he appeared. Rather than looking uncomfortable, he seemed focused on supporting efforts to honor his father's legacy. Together, the brothers demonstrated a willingness to step forward when family history required their presence. Finding his own voice. While many people associate the Jackson name with music, Bigi's greatest passion appears to lie elsewhere. Filmmaking. Away from public attention, he has developed a strong interest in directing, storytelling, and visual media. Instead of pursuing a career in front of audiences, he has shown greater enthusiasm for creating stories behind the camera. Those who follow his work point to a growing commitment to film production and creative storytelling. His projects reflect careful planning, artistic curiosity, and a genuine appreciation for the filmmaking process. Unlike many celebrity children, Bigi has shown little interest in chasing social media fame or building a public persona around constant visibility. Instead, he is focused on developing skills, exploring creative ideas, and pursuing projects that matter to him personally. Slowly, a new identity has emerged. Not one defined solely by the Jackson name. Not one built around headlines or controversy, but one shaped by creativity, independence, and personal choice. Conclusion. From a birth surrounded by secrecy to a life lived largely away from public attention, Bigi Jackson's story has followed a very different path from what many people expected. While the world continues to associate him with one of the most famous families in history, he has spent years creating a life that reflects his own values and interests. His journey is not a story of fame. It is a story of identity. A story of finding privacy in a world that rarely allows it. And a story of carrying an extraordinary legacy while still becoming his own person. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.